Double espresso. Yeah, of course. I'm a fighter. First of all, I want to fight as much as possible, but like I couldn't fight for the title. I was waiting for my shot, and instead of sitting at the home, I was wrestling, and doing streaming and training. So it gives me a lot of like fan base. Thank you guys, and finally I'm fighting, and I'm so excited for my next fight, and can't wait.
Cara, eu não sou um cara de falar muito. Fala, rapaziada, tô muito feliz de estar aqui com vocês. Hey, guys! Pô, tô muito feliz de estar aqui, feliz com a oportunidade. Eu só sei fazer uma coisa dentro do octógono, nocautear meus adversários, eu entro lá pra fazer isso. Nem quando venço uma luta por decisão, eu durmo direito, chego em casa. Eu sou um cara que eu amo fazer o que eu faço e vou estar sempre buscando um nocaute. Já que ele vem para me finalizar, me agarrar, eu tô indo para nocautear e que vença o melhor.
I mean, he can think whatever he wants. He's gonna do his job, I'm gonna do my job. But I can knock out and I can wrestle and I can choke. But he has only one weapon, knocked out. So I have more weapons. I can wrestle and I can choke him and I can knock him out. So.
The rivalry between Arman Tsarukyan and Mauricio Ruffy has officially reached another level, and their UFC 331 face-off made one thing obvious. This is no longer just another matchup on the card. The tension between the two fighters was impossible to ignore, setting the stage for what could be one of the most explosive lightweight clashes of the event.
Arman Tsarukyan.
Arman Tsarukyan.
Yeah.
So
Batman. By the way, he has officially changed his name, his fight name. I don't remember what it was. It was some Armenian word. Now he is Arman Batman Tsarukyan, which he's been at RAF now for several fights, I think since he started with RAF, but he is officially going to walk out to She Wanna Be With an Indian by Neon. It's a rap song that the streamer Neon created, and he is going to be announced as Arman Batman Tsarukyan. So I can't wait for that fight. And look, I was excited for the Charles Oliveira rematch, but I was never like, as soon as they announced Charles versus Arman Part 2, when they said it's going to be 5 rounds, but there's not going to be a belt on the line, no BMF option for Arman, and all the stuff that came with it, I was like, it sort of feels like he just ran back into Charles Oliveira, and there's nobody else timing-wise that he could fight. And then you pull Charles Oliveira out for good reason, of course.
What should have been a routine promotional face-off quickly transformed into one of the most intense moments surrounding the event. As Arman Tsarukyan and Mauricio Ruffy came face-to-face, the atmosphere changed instantly, with neither fighter looking willing.
But what Arman said that was interesting to me was that Charles Oliveira can't knock him out and Mauricio Ruffy can.
Yeah.
And that makes it more of a dangerous fight. Now, that helps sell the fight because a lot of people know that Charles Oliveira contended with Arman in the grappling when they fought the first time.
Right.
A lot of people thought that had that fight continued another couple of rounds, that Charles Oliveira probably would have won it. Now, So making the convincing argument that this is a rematch that's worth watching because it's very evenly matched is very easy to do. Now, a lot of people are thinking Arman's going to walk all over Ruffy, so I think he's doing a good job in selling the fight, if it's nothing else.
Yeah.
Just to say that, and he's right about that, by the way.
Yeah.
Ruffy is not Charles on the ground.
Tsarukyan and Ruffy are scheduled to meet on September 19th at UFC 331 in Los Angeles, with major lightweight division implications on the line. Tsarukyan enters the matchup as one of the division's most respected contenders, while Ruffy has quickly established himself as a
Arman versus Ruffy kind of came out of left field. Arman's been having this crazy out of the UFC run, wrestling, doing jiu-jitsu, vlogging, he's everywhere against Ruffy, who's coming off a beautiful KO over Michael Chandler at the White House. Dude, this is an interesting fight. Ruffy throws power shots, big shots, boom, boom. He did get out grappled against Benoit, and that is Arman. Arman's gonna maybe come out there, try to take him down, but he's gonna be running into some serious danger because Ruffy doesn't come out there and throw a bunch of combinations, let you get under his legs. He bounces around and throws big, hard shots that he knows he's going to land, or at least he thinks he's going to land. He's not going to go out there and waste punches. He's landing. He's trying to knock people out, and that's going to be an interesting fight. That's a hard matchup for Arman. If he doesn't get him down and control him right away, that's going to be an interesting fight.
When the two finally stood directly across from each other, the atmosphere became noticeably tense. There was no friendly handshake, no relaxed smile, and certainly no indication that either fighter wanted to show the other any respect during the face-off. Every second of the stare-down felt like another step toward a potential explosion.
Arman Tsarukyan is gonna absolutely dismantle Ruffy. I've never been sold on Ruffy. He doesn't have a lot of great wins. I think BSD kind of exposed the blueprint when it comes to him. His fight at the White House was basically just a hit job. You know, they set him up with every bit of 40-year-old Michael Chandler. So he got that rub. I think Arman finishes him under 3.
Ruffy stood confidently in front of Tsarukyan, staring straight into his eyes, while Arman remained completely unfazed by the pressure. The two exchanged words, and the tension became serious enough that UFC President Dana White stepped in to keep the situation from turning physical. That moment immediately became one of the biggest talking points surrounding UFC 331. What makes this matchup?
But if you can get past that, close the distance, get on the inside, shoot a takedown, get him down on the ground.
Ruffy and Arman Tsarukyan. And we know Ruffy's style, we know how dominant Arman Tsarukyan is. I'll start with Bisping, and then I want to hear from TJ and Mighty. What do you think will happen in this fight? What do you think one of them needs to do to win?
Yeah, well, in some ways, it's kind of similar to what we just saw with Islam and Ian Gary on paper. You know, I'm not saying that Arman is the same kind of wrestler as...
Ruffy has repeatedly made it clear that he wants to finish fights rather than simply collect decision victories. He intends to hunt for a knockout from the opening bell. But Tsarukyan does not appear intimidated. In fact, the more Ruffy talks about his knockout power, the more confident Arman seems to become. Tsarukyan has already faced some of the toughest competition.
Islam Makhachev, but the sentiment of the fight is pretty much the same thing because Ruffy's so much taller and longer, he's unpredictable, he's got very long strikes, he can pick him apart at distance, he's got the reach advantage just like Ian Gary had, he's got the spinning wheel kicks and all that type of stuff, he can really surprise him, whereas Arman's going to have to close the distance, if he was doing this, which Ian Gary was, which is crazy, but if he can get past that, close the distance, get on the inside, shoot a takedown, get him down on the ground.
That Ruffy's confidence will fade the moment the fight becomes physical. And that sets up the biggest question heading into UFC 331. What happens when Ruffy's explosive striking collides with Tsarukyan's relentless wrestling pressure? Picture the opening moments. Ruffy comes forward looking to establish his range, firing quick combinations and dangerous kicks. Arman stays patient, studies his movements, and waits for the right opportunity to close the distance. The moment Tsarukyan gets his hands on Ruffy, the entire fight could suddenly change.
It's a very big test.
If the fight stays on the feet, Arman gets knocked the fuck out. But it won't stay on the feet. Look at what Benoit Saint-Denis did to Mauricio Ruffy. Ragdolled him. Face cranked him in the second round.
Forgot about that.
Don't tell me that Arman Tsarukyan is not a better wrestler than Benoit Saint-Denis because he is. And that's just a fact. If the fight stays on the feet, Arman gets knocked the fuck out.
Mauricio Ruffy, Arman Tsarukyan. TJ, kick that off. What do you think about that fight?
Sick fight. I'm pumped for it. I think it's also a tough fight for Arman, though. I'm a big fan of Ruffy. The way that he fights on his feet, he's very creative. He's a sniper. He's going to be a problem, but because of Arman's well-roundedness, we know where he's going to want to try to take the fight. He's very strong. His conditioning is insane. I'm probably leaning towards Arman to get the fight. Yeah, he's a Jackson athlete, but even outside of that, I think his well-roundedness will get him done.